Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I am here backstage at the Sinclair before a sold-out show. You have a busy schedule today. Maggie Rogers, thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Oh, man, thank you so much for talking to me.
And welcome back to Boston.
Thank you.
Did you have to do anything in the city when you were back here today?
No, I had a beautiful day of walking around the sunshine and taking naps.
Isn't it the best?
Some much-needed sleep. Yeah, it was great.
And then you're in New York tomorrow, right?
I am going home tomorrow for the first time in quite a while.
Nice. Well, it looks like the warm weather is going to follow you. So
I'm very excited.
So you're nearing the end of this tour, correct?
Yes, there's 3 shows left.
Great. So now that you're playing sort of venues like this, I'm sure it's a little bit easier in terms of there are no major mishaps with load-in or anything like that. But can you think of
you'd be surprised. We're still on the road.
We're still on the road, exactly. But can you think back to maybe when you first started playing or even something on this tour, maybe one of the worst shows that you've ever had to play because of some extenuating circumstance or anything like that?
Oh, gosh. The worst show I've ever played on this tour or just in general?
Oh, in general. In general.
I don't know. It's kind of a corny answer. It's not really giving you the full dirt, but I think shows are really incredible because I feel like I learn something about performing every time I play, even the ones that kind of go terribly. I was in high school, I was in an a cappella group, and we decided one year we wanted to compete as an a cappella group. We went to an a cappella competition. That was just one of my least favorite shows.
Yep, I can see that.
It was just a lot of unnecessary hubbub, but a cappella's cool, you know?
So as someone who sort of, I guess, has had a little bit, well, you've been performing for a while, but
Yes.
What is something that you can't be taught about getting onto a stage and playing for a group of people? Something that you have to learn through experience?
Talking with sound people.
Really?
I've learned, or even just being comfortable, maybe not talking with sound people, but just being comfortable adjusting your own sound from the stage. You can go to a million shows and know how you like to hear a show, but it's really different listening to a show from the stage and learning what you want to hear. I just started using in-ears, which are just little headphones that have my entire mix in them.
Oh, nice.
Instead of using the speakers from the stage, using monitors. And that's been a really big change, learning what kind of mix I like in my ears and what sort of arrangement helps me sing the best.
Now, you are sort of on the pop end of the spectrum right now, but you started on the more of the folk end of things. Do you foresee yourself going back to that or maybe incorporating the banjo into some pop music?
Definitely. I think the thing that I'm looking to do with my music is just continue to consistently create challenge for myself. So maybe the next record is a rock record. I play guitar during the set and I've really loved doing that. Or maybe the next record is an experimental choir record, or maybe it is a folk record, or I don't know. I feel really open and excited about musical change, so I'm not really sure what I'll be making next, but I'm open to any of it.
I hate the phrase transitioning to pop, but has pop been a challenge thus far?
No, it's been something really exciting to play with. It's this medium that everybody grows up with whether they want to or not. So pop, it just means popular. So you grow up around pop music, whether it's your favorite or not. Even just going to a school dance, they play pop music.
True.
And so pop music was a really exciting challenge to tackle because inevitably the way that I think about songs and that I write songs hasn't changed at all. But it's just production and the arrangement around the songs that I'm sort of just playing with.
And now I know that you studied English at NYU, which I find is sort of a coincidence because a lot of the song writing people that I meet, they do study English or writing or something like that. Do you ever see sort of the English major creeping its way into the music?
Definitely. I pretty much always keep a book of T.S. Elliot poems with me when I'm writing music, and I love Pablo Neruda as well. And I was reading a lot of Virginia Woolf when I was writing this record, and she deals a lot with color and transition, and she's very impressionistic, and I think that aligns up very solidly with my lyrical style. Mm-hmm. I tend to be a very descriptive writer. I tend to set a scene first.
Certainly. And then speaking of T.S. Eliot, there's a great song, I don't know if you might have heard it. It's called I Knew Proof Rock Before He Got Famous. Have you heard that one?
Oh, no. Who's it by?
It's by Frank Turner. It's the first...
Okay, cool.
He was the first guest I had, and it's the first song off his album Love Iron Song, but he essentially compares, himself and all of his friends to different parts of Proof Rock.
Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to listen to this.
It's one of the most
That's one of my favorite poems.
It's I've Measured My Life in Coffee Spoons, one of my favorite, too. But moving on from Elliot, I heard heard that this EP that you've now released, Now That the Light is Fading, it sort of started as your thesis in pop music.
That's true.
I love that phrase. Would you be able to sort of explain and unpack that?
Well, I think I've always thought about music as a whole as a way to challenge myself and to sort of create new or explore new creative territory. And then for me, I'm not sure that I am a pop artist as a whole. I'm just an artist. And so this record was my sort of thesis in pop music, me just exploring what that realm would look like. And my goal was to try and make pop music feel as human as possible.
And one of the ways that you do that, and I feel like this is commented, I'm sure, every time that people talk to you, is sort of the hand clapping and the percussion, the crickets at the beginning of some of the songs. So it's obviously that nature and the natural world is an influence in your work, but do you feel cities and urban areas when you're in somewhere like Cambridge or Manhattan, that's sort of shaping your songs as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my music is just as much about sound samples from a rural environment as it is sort of the electricity and dance pulse of an urban city. I mean, I think it's really easy to sort of like pan me as like the hiker girl, or the nature girl. But people often forget I've lived in New York City for the last 5 years. And I really love the city. I love Boston too. So it's nice to be in both spots.
So what are some of your interests other than music?
I mean, we've kind of touched music, books. I go outside a lot. Right now, my biggest interest is like sleeping.
Yes.
You know, I love looking at art and going to museums. But I'm pretty focused right now, or at least my life is. I think that's one of the things I've always loved about hiking, and I sort of find the same thing about touring, is that there's an incredibly strong sense of purpose in my day, because everything in my day is just leading up to a show.
That's a really good way of thinking of it. And then plus music and books and sleeping and outside all go well together and all can be accomplished on tours, which is
I love all of it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're traveling now. You have are you still in a van right now?
We have a tour bus right now.
You have a bus? Oh,
it's
wonderful.
Pretty insane.
I love tour buses. It's
my first time on one, and it's been an absolute blast.
Well, congratulations. I know that the step up to bus is always a big thing.
You know, it's really funny. I was talking to my mom about that because I was like, I just can't believe I have a tour bus, especially this early. It's just like, it's just wild. And she was like, well, just don't think about it. Think about it. It's just a mode of transportation. And I was thinking about when she said that. And I was like, well, I'm from a generation that we play Rock Band, the video game, where like the next step up was the tour bus. Like it is a physical level up in the video game. And so I was trying to explain that to my mom, like, no, it like really means something.
Exactly. You don't get it, Mom. You don't
get it. I'm a real band.
But who would you want on the bus with you? If you could take anyone, living or dead, they get to come along on the Maggie Rogers tour for a day, who are we putting on the bus?
I'd probably bring Joan Didion.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just because I would want to write things with her, and I think she'd be a lot of fun and great conversation.
Well, that's conversation is key, especially when you have those long drives. Speaking of conversation, you do a ton of these interviews, which I'm grateful for as a journalist. But what do you wish that you were asked more often, or what do you wish sort of came up more in these conversations?
That's an awesome question, because I feel like it's really easy to complain about, like, oh, I hate getting asked about this, but then it's like, all right, well, what do you actually wish you were getting asked about? I don't know. I mean, I worked as a journalist a little while as well, but the question sort of like you just asked me, the sort of like alive or dead, or like that stuff's really fun, but inevitably I really like just having conversations about like pop music as sort of an element of culture and what it means in the larger cultural context. And it's really fun not just to be quizzed or to be interviewed, but to just have a conversation with somebody.
Well, and especially about pop music, because it's one of those things that doesn't get enough sort of respect as a medium, I feel like.
Well, and you can just unpack it forever.
True. All three of us are, my friend Monica, she's our photographer. We're all, I guess, at one point journalists. What was one of your favorite stories that you had the pleasure of doing during your time?
As a journalist?
Yes.
I wrote this story that I loved for Elle.com about this hiker named Heather Anderson, and she holds the fastest self-supported record for the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Trail at the same time right now, and that's the first time that it's ever been done by a person, let alone a woman. So that was a really fun story to investigate and to interview for.
And I always like the stories that people may not know of or be aware of too. So to bring that to the public is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so inspired by her story, and so being able to tell it also is great. I mean, that story's online now still.
Wonderful. Well, be sure to check it out. And then the last question that I have for you is, who are you listening to? Who has your ear right now, other than me?
Well, it's funny, on tour I actually don't listen to so much music because I'm around music and noise so much that if I have a moment of silence, I tend to wait, and also I think it takes a little bit of decompressing when I get home from tour to sort of settle back in, and it's not really until I'm settled that I can really take any, like, that I can be inspired by work. So when I get home this time, I'm really excited to listen to Drake's new record. I'm really excited to listen to the new Big Thief song
Yes.
and watch the new music video. And I'm really excited to dig into the new Dirty Projectors record because I've listened to it just a little bit, but not really. But I'm saving all of them for when I get home, so I'm excited.
Smart decision, smart decision. Well, if you are not listening to Maggie Rogers' new EP, Now That the Light is Fading, it's out on Capitol Records. It is definitely something that you want to be listening to now. Maggie, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.